Are you tired of using Excel filters? Now, don't get me wrong, you can get a lot of good analysis with Excel filters, but it's so tiring. It takes so long, so many mouse clicks. In today's session, I'm going to show you the one formula that I use to do the jobs of those filters so you can get away from using filtering at all. That's what we're going to do in the next 10 minutes. But if we're meeting for the first time, I'm Chris Mortimer. I'm an Excel consultant, lecturer, content creator, and I love demystifying Excel for people like you and get you using the powerful stuff. Before we get into it, let me tell you about my Excel cheat sheet. Now, I've simplified Excel for you. In this cheat sheet, I've highlighted the 21 formulae and 13 techniques that you need to know. It's going to simplify your Excel learning. You can get it for absolutely free. The link is below this video. So go ahead and get your Excel cheat sheet. Let's get into this one. So I've got a typical data set here. Now, this is from the Doggy Football League, and fans of the channel might know something about the Doggy Football League. It's totally fictional, but it's a typical data set that you might be working with. And let's suppose we want to test some betting strategies. I don't bet myself, but a lot of people bet out there, and a lot of people are using Excel to analyze strategies. So let's test this strategy. We want to bet on one of the teams, which is Beagle, when they're playing at home, if the odds are more than 1.54. And if you know anything about sports betting, I don't know much, but I do know that 1 is a home win, X is a draw, and 2 is an away win. So we've got all of the home odds down here. So when Beagle are playing and the odds are more than 1.54, we're going to put £1 on. Then over on the right, we've got our returns column here. And you can see that when the home team doesn't win, it says -1, we lose our money. When the home team does win, then you can see the winnings go in there. So it's a typical kind of data situation. How would you go about doing this? First, let's do it with filters. Yes, I'm going to break my rule. I'm going to do this with filters. So I'm going to teach you some keyboard shortcuts about filters. I'm going to do these on Windows. You can find them on Mac with a quick Google search. Control-Shift-Right, Control-Shift-Down is going to select the whole data set. Alt-A-T is going to apply the filters. And then you can go to the column. You can navigate there using the keyboard, using the arrows. Go to the column where you want to apply the filter. Alt and down arrow is going to get you into the filter menu. I'm going to tab down to the little text, the little search box here. I'm going to type in Beagle and hit enter. And you can see I've now put a filter on for Beagle. So you can do it all with the keyboard. That might make life a bit easier for you, but I'm hoping you're going to use my formula anyway. Let's do the same thing here. So Alt down arrow in the home odds column. This time we're going to go for number filters, tap number filters, enter, and then greater than. And this is where we're going to put our 1.54 figure in. Then we hit OK. Now we want to see what that figure is. So Control-Shift down again. And I can see at the bottom of Excel here, sum 11.62. So this system is going to have a return of 11.62. We can prove that with filters, but you don't want to do all of that clicking. Can you imagine if you wanted to test 10 systems, 100 systems? I build systems like this to test tens of thousands of systems for people. You wouldn't want to be doing all that filtering. So let's find a better way to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Dsum formula. Are you using the Dsum formula? It requires a little bit of setup, but if you can do the setup and get it working, it is so powerful. It is next level stuff. So what is that setup? Go ahead and choose a couple of cells. It's got to be 2 rows high. And then for us, 2 columns across is going to be fine, but you can actually use any number of columns. I'll tell you more about that in a second. Alt-HBA, let's put some borders on there just to remind us that this is where we're going to build our Dsum formula. And then we've got to choose what columns do we want to filter by. So previously we've gone to those columns and done it manually. When you use Dsum, you type the columns that you want to use into this table in the top row. So what columns are we interested in? We're interested in the home column because that's where our team Beagle is. And then we're interested in the home odds. So this is column 1. So the 2 columns I'm interested in, I'm going to put at the top of the table. Now, I'm doing a 2 criteria analysis, looking at the home team, looking at the odds. With Dsum, you can do any number of criteria. You can do 1 criteria. You can do, I've done up to 8, 10 criteria. Super powerful stuff. So make sure you give it a go yourself. So home, and now we've got to put in the criteria. Now here, we've got to be accurate. We've got to get our programmer's mindset on. We have got to get this spelling 100% right. Otherwise, it's going to be problematic. So the same thing here, more than 1.54, we've got to know the notation, normal mathematical notation. Again, it's got to be 100% precise, or that's going to be problematic. This is how we say to Excel, more than 1.54. So we need this setup. We do need to take the time to put this setup in. But once you've got the setup, you can then go ahead and build the formula. You're going to love it. It's going to change, transform the way you're doing analysis, data analysis, I have no doubt. So Dsum, open brackets. Then as always, we take a pause. What is Excel asking for? What is Excel asking for here? And with Dsum, it's reasonably intuitive, or maybe not, but some of it is intuitive. So Excel's asking for a database. Excel is saying, where's this data set that you want me to do the analysis on? That's fairly straightforward. So again, keyboard shortcuts I'm going to use. In fact, I'm going to go ahead first and take the filters off. Alt-A-T, take the filters off. That's just going to make sure that I include all of the rows I want in my analysis. So equals Dsum, Control-Shift right, Control-Shift down, and I can see the whole area is selected. For completeness, if you want to be teacher's pet, F4 key, then we're going to have absolute references should we take the formula anywhere else. And then Dsum is asking for field. So it's saying, which column do you want me to add up? Yeah, remember, we're adding up returns. We've got this returns column over here. And as we did with the filters at the beginning, when we just selected all the values and looked at the bottom to get the sum, we want Dsum to do that for us. So you can type in the name of the column. You can also use a column reference number. I've found, more recently, I used a column name, seems to work for me. So returns home win, again, computer programmer head on, that's got to be 100% accurate or we're going to have problems. Then finally, and maybe least intuitively, criteria. So Dsum is asking for criteria. Now, criteria is a data analysis word for which data do you want to filter out, yeah? And remember that little table that we set up, those 4 cells, they are our criteria, and we've got to make sure we've got the whole table selected there. So this is the setup we need for Dsum. We've got to select the data set. We've got to designate the cell, the column that contains the data we want to sum up. That's what Dsum's going to do. It's going to sum data up. And then finally, we've got to specify where we've set up our criteria. I'm going to put the absolute references in there using the F4 key because I'm a bit of a teacher's pet. And then close the brackets there, hit enter. What have we got? 11.62. Rings a bell. 11.62 rings a bell. So let's go ahead, do it again with filters, Control-Shift right, Control-Shift down, Alt-A-T. Over to the home column, want to filter by that column, Alt and down arrow, down to the search box and type in Beagle here, and then enter. So that's our first filter on. Over to the home odds, Alt down, number filter, enter, greater than, enter, 1.54, so we don't need the greater than sign here because it says in the box is greater than, and then enter, and let's just prove this again, Control-Shift down, I can see at the bottom here, summing up 11.62. And this is the power of Dsum. I can just go ahead, say I want to look at a different team now, Alt-A-T, take the filters off, say I want to look at Great Dane, I just type it into our criteria area. How about that? And you can go ahead and combine this with other techniques with a bit of VBA to do really cool optimizations. It's one of my Excel secret weapons. So make sure you give Dsum a go. And don't forget, I'm simplifying Excel for you with my Excel cheat sheet. I've picked out the 21 Excel formulae, including Dsum, that are going to simplify your Excel practice and push things forward for you. Go ahead and download it. Absolutely free. Just follow the link, stick your email in. I'm going to send it to you. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.